Hello and welcome back to the Ascent Cycling Podcast, where today we will be reviewing the stage number 2 of the 2021 Giro d'Italia, a sprint stage of 180 kilometers between Stupinigi and Novara. The race went as planned, breakaway of a couple of riders from Italian teams going for the KOM, and then the first bunch sprint of the Giro in Novara, where Tim Merlier took the win ahead of Giacomo Nizzolo and Elia Viviani. I am once again joined by my co-host, Mr. Jojo. How are you, and what did you make of the stage?
I'm absolutely brilliant, thank you, Guillaume. Enjoyed watching the stage today. Obviously, not the most action-packed stage of the Giro. I hope we'll have some more exciting stages than today in general. But like you said, we had a few pro teams go up the roads, Italian teams trying to get that first Maglia at zero. I think it was Vincenzo Albanese of Yolo Cometa who did gain that jersey. Very nice for that team, for sure, to have that blue jersey in their squad for a little while at least. Then, of course, we did have two intermediate sprints en route to the finish in Novara. The first one was mainly contested by the breakaway and a few sprinters, but then we did see Pippo Ganna take the first place at the second sprint and Remco Evenepoel take second place. And that is quite crucial because 2 seconds gained for him in the GC. Obviously, it's not a massive time game, but what I'm quite interested in right there is, does that give us a sign as to who they are riding for? Because we've seen Joao Almeida compete for many an intermediate sprint before, and yeah, they had Remco there instead today. So I think that's quite interesting. What do you make of that, Guillaume?
I was going to say it was a very similar tactic to what we saw last season with Joao getting a lot of bonus seconds when he had the opportunity to do so. Interesting as well to see Ganna taking the seconds. Maybe he wants to keep the Maglia Rosa potentially like after tomorrow, which is a stage where he potentially could have lost it should he have worked, or on stage 4. On stage 4 that is tough, but we know Ganna on his day can make it. So interesting to see Ineos allowing to do that. But yeah, Remco settling himself as potentially the leader. Maybe it hasn't been discussed in the team with a proper leader, but just mentally, he put himself on the map and said to Joao Almeida, I'm taking the bonus seconds, you're not. So we'll see. Maybe there's some mind games being played in Ducon Quickstep. For once, Ducon Quickstep not present in the sprint as well, because they don't have a sprinter, which is quite rare to mention. They've also announced Sam Bennett leaving their team at the end of the season. But yeah, if we come back to the main sprint, I think there's one rider that massively disappointed. It was my pick for today. Caleb Ewan, I think, got 10th place. He was very badly positioned with more than 1 kilometer to go, and I don't think he really bothered to fight back when he said he was that far behind. But I believe that you, sir, have managed to get the first stage right. You've got your first prediction correct.
Indeed, Tim Merlier. Tim Merlier. Is that how you say it?
I think Tim Merlier. I don't know. If it's pronounced French, it's Tim Merlier. If it's pronounced British, it's Tim Merlier.
I was corrected in my comments on YouTube today, so I've got to try and nail that. But anyway, great win. Alpecin Fenix's first road stage at a Grand Tour. Tim Merlier's first road stage at a Grand Tour as well, and they get the win. Unreal stuff. And I must say, he looks absolutely fearless in that sprint. He looked scary. He was going for it. Not to say the others weren't, but Merlier was absolutely an unreal sprint, I have to say. He blew away the opposition. Nizzolo, Viviani, Grunewagen, all in his wheel, and none of them could get even close to coming round him. So I think an unreal sprint today from Merlier, clearly showing he's more than just the king of Belgium today. Clearly one of the quickest riders in the world right now.
100%. I think Cofidis did a very, very good job today putting Elia Viviani in the best of position. Tim Merlier was actually in the wheel of Viviani, but as soon as he launched his acceleration, he was nowhere to be seen. Tim Merlier was on another planet today. Nizzolo does come in a very respectable second position, so settling in as a potential candidate for the Ciclamino. Then Viviani in third place. Groenewegen for his first mass sprint since Poland in fourth place. I think he can be happy with that. I don't exactly know where he wanted to finish. I'm guessing he wanted to win it, but for a comeback, I think that's not too bad. And Peter Sagan, just not making a lot of noise, but taking fourth place of today's stage. Then if we go back to the rest of the top 10, we have in sixth position Matteo Moschetti from Trek Segafredo, which I had mentioned yesterday. Filippo Fiorelli from Bardani. I'd be lying if I said I had expected anything from him. But it's a very nice sprint from the sprint of Bardiani. Lawrence Nazen taking 8th place. Didn't see that coming either. And then running out the top 10, we have Davide Cimolai from Israel and Caleb Ewan in 11th. No sign today of Fernando Gaviria.
There certainly wasn't any sign of Fernando Gaviria after he got put in the barriers by his teammate Milano. I mean, I don't know what is going on in that UAE team bus right now or tonight in the hotel, but it's not going to be pretty. I'm pretty sure of that. So Milano comes to the front of the peloton. He tries to put Gaviria in a good position. He did a great job, to be fair, to Milano. Gaviria was a few places back, and Gaviria decided, unlike the rest of the sprinters, to go between Milano and the barriers. And not the wisest of moves, because I don't think Milano really moved, but there just wasn't enough room. Gaviria goes into the barriers, and of course, that's his sprint over. You could see both Milano and Gaviria pretty upset across the line as well, probably more embarrassed than anything, I would say. But also, you have to say, the barriers did their job today, which we haven't seen at other races. Gaviria just rebounded off the barriers and was still on his bike, so that was great to see. But not the best day for UAE, that's for sure.
Of course, because right now it kind of becomes it's a bit of a meme, I guess, or it's a funny moment, but it could have been very, very bad for Gaviria should the barriers have collapsed on him. So props to RCS and the organization to having made actual decent barriers, I guess. But I think he finishes in the top 25, at the tail end of the top 25. You can actually see Molyneux looking behind to see who he hit. And then he realizes it's Gaviria. So yeah, if there's by any chance a Colombian sprinter tomorrow that's not starting the Giro, I think Sebastian Molyneux probably is injured, and it might be from Fernando Gaviria.
Yeah, highly likely. Highly likely. We'll see. I mean, they're going to have to wait a few stages now for a sprint stage, but then they're not going to be happy for sure. Going back to Nizzolo, you mentioned a solid start for him. Another second place for him. And that, unless I'm mistaken, makes it 10 runner-up places on stages now at the Giro in his career. And he's still looking for a stage win. Man, I feel so bad for the man. I feel so bad. If there's one thing I want out of this Giro d'Italia, I want Giacomo Nizzolo to win a stage. I'm desperate for the guy. I mean, how can you have 10 runner-up spots? I think something like 40 top fives as well on stage finishes and no stage win just yet. I mean, what do you make of it, Guillaume?
He's extremely consistent. You got to give him that. He's very consistent. However, he's never been able to be on that top spot. But I think at the beginning of the Giro, I said that Tim Merlier and Giacomo Nizzolo would leave this race being Grand Tour stage winners. Tim Merlier has achieved that. I didn't think he would be doing it this early in the race, but very good on him. I think Nizzolo still has a chance. I mean, there's a couple of more stages. He definitely can do it. He's got the legs. I mean, he's proven it. He finished second behind a very, very strong Tim Merlier. Tim Merlier may not have those legs every single day. But Joe, if you today were Giacomo Nizzolo and you have two chances or two opportunities, do you prefer being a Grand Tour stage winner or being a 3-time winner of the Ciclamino jersey?
Speaking on behalf of Giacomo, I think he wants a stage. Yeah. I think he wants a stage. I think there was an interview today, and they asked him what he wants from this race. Is it the points jersey or the stage? And he said, "I'm up for a stage win. That's what we're here for. I'm not worried." And also, he didn't sprint for the sprint, the first intermediate sprint either. Alongside, I think, Sagan, Gaviria, we had Viviani and Andrea Pasqualon sprinting for that. So yeah, I think Nizzolo, he just wants a stage win, and man, I feel so bad for him. I really hope he gets one. But yeah, moving on to Viviani, who was third today. He showed good legs. He showed really good legs, I think, and promising signs for Vivi. He said a pretty torrid time at Cofidis after leaving to Koenig, but I must say he was good today. He was really good today, and I think we could maybe see him steal a stage win in the later sprint at this race.
I mean, he definitely proved a few doubters wrong, or at least he proved to people that he wasn't quote unquote finished. I mean, he did win. I think he won Cholet Pays de la Loire earlier this year, back in March. But very tough season for him this year. I think last year he struggled as well, not being at his best on the Giro. So seeing him on the podium today, I think in a way it's probably a win, at least for himself, because he knows that he can finally compete with everyone, and mentally I think that's going to be a massive help. Will he win a stage on this Giro? I'm not too sure. I still think that Merlier and Izzolo were faster today. I still think Caleb Ewan, if he actually bothers,
Yeah.
probably is better. Groenewegen, we'll see. It's his comeback race, but yeah, it's nice to see Elia on the podium of his national home tour.
Yeah, for sure. I think also another Italian who can be happy today is Matteo Moschetti. I think you mentioned him yesterday, going under the radar a bit so far at this Giro. He wasn't quite there to challenge for the win, but he was there or thereabouts, just behind Peter Sagan in the end. Didn't have the legs to come past any of those guys, but definitely promising signs for Moschetti, who really, like you say, no one is talking about right now.
I think he's really like under the radar. It's exactly the word you've used, but I cannot think of any word that describe him as best. And also, he's got very decent sprint legs. He's also not the worst when it comes to hills. Sorry, so a bit of a tough sprint stage could definitely suit him. I think Moschetti is a big dark horse in the run for the sprint stages. And as long as he stays healthy, I think we cannot count him out of the running.
Yeah, we'll see. I do want to jump back quickly to that second intermediate sprint because obviously Remco did take those 2 seconds. Ganna did take 3. I wonder if Ineos were just trying to deny Remco rather than provide a buffer for Ganna, because we also saw Moscon third. We saw Jonathan Narvaez as well sprint really quickly at the end, but too late. I think those guys may have been trying to deny Remco. I'm not sure. We'll see. But Ganna definitely was going quite hard for that sprint, and then a few other Ineos guys as well. But notably no Bernal and no other GC contenders, which is interesting. You'd think with three seconds up for grabs, surely if you're a GC contender on a flat stage, you're going for it, right?
On paper you do, but I think you're also thinking that at this moment, if there's no breakaway, you're going to have the big sprinters going for the points. And you probably think that you're not going to waste the energy for a sprint that most likely won't give you anything. But I didn't think of Ineos blocking basically Evenepoel. But that's actually a very, very decent shout. And it could be Ineos last year kind of struggled with the bonus seconds. Tokyo Gannot at one point was like, is he going to be able to defeat Joao Almeida because Joao took so many seconds? I think this can very well be a working strategy from the team Ineos here. Yeah.
So looking ahead to tomorrow's stage 3 of the Giro, we head from Biella to Canale, and a very interesting stage on paper for me because personally, I don't know about you, Guillaume, I'm not sure what's happening on this stage. We have a few climbs here. I think the first climb is 7.5 kilometers in length, average of 4.9%. The Piancanella climb, that is. That's the longest climb of the day. But we then have a few following climbs as well later on into the final 50k of around 5k in length. A shorter climb as well towards the end, around 15k from the finish in Canale. And I think there's some bonus seconds up for grabs on that climb as well. So on paper, maybe a Peter Sagan stage, but it's going to be very difficult for Bora to control the entire day with, I expect, attacks going off on these climbs. Guillaume, what are your thoughts ahead of this stage? I think it could be a really exciting one.
It's going to be a very interesting stage. First, because I feel like it's a stage where the contenders for the mountain jersey are probably going to try and reach the first breakaway. There is, I think, 14 points. There are 14 points at the given if you take every single KOM. And you've mentioned the final climb, the climb of Guarene, with the bonus seconds at the top, which I think is a very, very good idea. If Bora manages to control the stage, I think we'll have a sprint between tough guys. So Groenewegen and potentially Caleb Ewan. If he's still on his leg of Milano-San Remo, then I think he can win the entire Giro at this point. But we can have a sprint between tough guys. However, I'm going to throw in a bit of a curveball here. I feel like the final 15 kilometers suit Dan Martin a lot.
Ooh. Any reason?
He lost some seconds on stage 1, and I feel like I just feel like it's kind of the stages he likes. He is decent on like a 15 kilometer effort. It'll depend on what the peloton does and how the peloton is handled. If Ineos lets him go, because we can believe that they'll be controlling the race like they kind of did today. But yeah, either a sprint or Dan Martin.
I mean, do you think Caleb Ewan and Dylan Groenewegen are going to get into the end? For me, those guys have no chance. Viviani as well. I don't see those guys sprinting for this one. I think Bora are definitely going to try and drop those guys.
Oh, 100%. I think on pure pace, Peter Sagan cannot defeat Groenewegen, Ewan, or Viviani. I think Groenewegen is already out of the question. Viviani, most likely. Caleb surprised me on Milano San Remo, and regarding of the pace, it can. I mean, I think he could potentially make it. It'll all depend on what happens in Guarene. If it's a huge rhythm, you can count the Aussie out. If it's a steady rhythm without too many attacks, I think he can probably make it and then try to recover in the downhill portion. However, I think the next 5 or 6 kilometers after the downhill are a false flat. So we'll see how that goes. It's not exactly a genuine rest for before the sprint. But I still think someone like Nizzolo has the legs to go over those climbs compared to Groenewegen, Viviani, or Ewan.
Yeah, I think Nizzolo is a good shout for this one. I think of those pure sprinters, he's one of the better climbers alongside obviously Sagan, who can do it with pretty much no trouble at all. But yeah, I think this is going to be Sagan. This is going to be Bora versus the field. That's how I see it. I think Bora are going to try and push all the pure sprinters out the back, try and leave it up to Sagan in a sprint. Some other names I think could maybe challenge Andrea Vendrame of AG2R. Of course, he's climbed well. I think he was 5th in the Sestriere stage last season, the stage 20 kind of queen stage of the race somehow, and he can sprint as well, so I think he should be okay to make it to the end. Another rider I have could be Patrick Bevan, who we saw recently at Romandy climb well. He sprinted to 2nd and 3rd, I think, on stages there, although he was pretty disappointing in the time trial yesterday, so not sure on his form. But yeah, those are some other names I see who could maybe spring a surprise alongside Sagan. What do you make of it, Guillaume? Any other names you have?
I'm trying to think if one of the UAE sprinters, so like Gaviria or Molano, can make it. I don't think Gaviria can. I think Molano may be able to do so,
Milano, maybe.
but he might be devoted to helping Gaviria, especially with what happened today. So I'm not so sure. And I mean, again, Moschetti could potentially try to do something. He's able to go over the hills, as I've mentioned. Jumbo Visma, Groenewegen, no. David Decker, potentially. But I'm not exactly convinced he'll have the legs to go for a big sprint after that. And then I'm not so sure. I don't think there's anyone that really like comes to mind on pure actual sprinters or like rapid riders. We did mention Tim Merlier for this stage. I think given his form and with an entire team around him, he could potentially try to make the climbs.
That's a good shout, actually. I'm not sure. I don't know how good Merlier can climb, to be honest.
Exactly.
I haven't seen enough of it. That's the thing. It's a bit of a wild card. You mentioned UAE there. It's just sprung into mind right now. If Gaviria, even Milano can't make it, you know who I'm saying. Alessandro Covi is here, and he can sprint okay. And I'll say it with full seriousness. But I think Covi, if those guys are both dropped first, who knows? Covi could maybe spring a surprise too. He's proven to sprint fairly well in the past, and he can get over the hills, I think, much better than Milano and Gaviria. So, you know, little shout right there. Look out for Covi tomorrow. And even they've got Diego Ulisi as well in their team. So I think UE have options, even if Gaviria and Milano don't make over the climbs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you did mention Formolo, which is odd. You've mentioned Ulisi and Covi, but Formolo also has a very decent pace. But yeah, no, UAE definitely has a few cards to play. And then I think that's basically it sprinting wise. You've got Andrea Pasqualone, who we know has
I was going to say
some decent pace as well. I don't think he was there in the final sprint today. At least he wasn't. He didn't spring to mind. Then Eolo is going to be a bit too weak, I think. I don't know enough about Filippo Fiorelli for Bardiani, who got a top 10 today. So can't really judge him. But I think we've covered the main riders, at least for tomorrow. Maybe a Matej Mohoric, if he wants to. He's got a strong pace on him. But yeah, I think those are wild guesses. Joe, if I had to ask you for your top 3, who would it be?
Oh, mate, I have no idea. That's the thing. That's why I'm looking forward to this stage. I think other riders, we could see attackers, Clement Champoussin, Quinton Hermans. Could we see attacks from those guys? I don't know. It's possible. Even, like you said, Formula. I've got no idea what's happening tomorrow. But I guess the safe prediction is Peter Sagan, right? But it's no doubt it's going to be difficult for Bora to control. To give you a top three is going to be it's going to be very difficult. You pick first. I'm not sure. You go first. What's your prediction?
Okay. Apparently, so I threw you under the bus here. So you've said the safe pick is Sagan. So I'm gonna go Nizzolo to win ahead of. I don't know. Ahead of Pete Sagan, and third place, I'll go Matteo Moschetti.
Wow. Fair enough. I mean, you believe in Moschetti's climbing.
I do.
I'm not sure of it myself, but we'll see. He's in good form, it seems, at least. But anyway, my top three. I'll change it. I won't go for Sagan. I'll go for a Quinton Hermans solo win after attack on the final climb of the day. So Quinton Hermans is gonna win the stage. Peter Sagan's gonna finish second, and I'll go for Vendrame in third. So pretty wild prediction right there. If that comes off, I'll be shocked. But yeah, we'll go with it. Quinton Hermans to win tomorrow's stage.
It took me 5 seconds to realize that you had mentioned Quinton Hermans for the win. Wow! So you're going for a 2-4-2 for Belgium after Tim Merlier, Quinton Hermans. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Looking for their first Grand Tour stage win as well, Intermarché, you know.
Also their first win at all, like this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you looked confident in the preseason or in the preview of the Giro, saying that Quinton Hermans would be the rider giving them their first win. You're backing the statement. I like that. I like the commitment. Sorry.
Got to stick with it. And you know, we were 1 out of 1 today with Merlier and Belgium getting the stage win for me. If Hermans can do it as well, it'll be a shock. But you know, we'll see. So that is our review of stage 2 of the Giro d'Italia, and little look ahead to stage 3 as well. We've got Quinton Hermans and Giacomo Nizzolo, our 2 picks. 2 very different riders. We'll see how that goes tomorrow. I think though that's a sign of how exciting tomorrow's stage should be, because we don't know what is going to happen. So as always, if you enjoyed the pod today, make sure you hit like, subscribe, follows, good reviews as well. Really helps us out. As you know all too well, everyone says it far too often, but you know, it's the drill. We've got to go with it. Guillaume, any final words?
See you tomorrow.
Ciao.